Hey everyone, Matt here. It is Wednesday. That is the main event time where we go over our main topics for the week. So if you're watching or listening, this is the meat and potatoes of the episode. If we happen to have any news to discuss as well, that's where we'll talk about it here. For the full episode, check us out on Saturdays. Thanks for watching and listening. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of Stack Your Points. It's Monday night. I'm not in my hoodie, and from the pre-show, it's already bread and circuses. It's been chaos. So I am joined this week by RJ from Do You Take Cards. RJ, how are you tonight?
I am doing well. Matt, the first video I ever saw of you, you were wearing an Islanders jersey. So this is bringing me back to where it all began.
Very, very cool. Yep, my jersey collection is quite expensive, but the Islanders are home, and I just got back from the Islanders game. They ended up losing in a shootout, probably due to terrible refereeing and Toronto being Toronto. So, anyway, we're also joined by Tariq from Reek's Rewards, who is Robert Ism's new public enemy number one. Tariq, how are you tonight?
I'm good, and I haven't decided on American. I have done too many American jokes to crawl my way with my tail tucked between my legs for them. So I think he's chilling for right now. But other than that, another year around the sun, or rotation around the sun, however how you say it. Yeah, I turned 26 yesterday, so cool.
Happy belated birthday, and my phone literally exploded from the messages from Robert saying, please hide him. No. And we're also joined by a new face this week. We know him as Kid Kat in our various servers, but Kid Kat, if you'd like to introduce yourself to the Stack Your Points community.
Hey everyone, Kit Kat, Craig, if you know me well enough. One, I need to apologize to Matt because I asked him to a hockey game, not realizing that you were an Islanders fan, and I invited you to those dirty, dirty Rangers. And two, Tariq, you are not invited to AA. We are not a welcoming community, and in no way, shape, or form should you ever consider coming over here.
Can I just be clear? This is American Airlines, people. Just so we're clear about what we're talking about.
I mean, I would have just poured open a bottle of Hennessy since I wasn't welcome there. I was like, hey, why not? You know, there's no hope for me.
One AA tries to not disclose members' names, tries not to disclose people who are within the program. The other AA is very much asking Tariq not to ruin what's left of their award chart. So we're going to move over to our news roundup and topics. Our news roundup, the biggest news in credit cards in the last day and a half has been the United card refresh. Now we're going to jump into this probably more in depth with Lonnie when Lonnie returns. Lonnie's on special assignment this week. Lonnie, I'm patiently awaiting to see what your response to these things is going to be, because Chase and United made choices to go Amex coupons and pick all the wrong ways to do coupons. So all the annual fees have increased across the board. And I'm doing this off the top of my head. My apologies. I did a 2-hour live last night, and I did a tidbits earlier today going over these refreshes. So the United Explorer card was a $95 annual fee. It's going up to $150. There's a couple of different there's a few new statement credits that are being added on. Friend of the show, or Stack Your Points Discord member, Dr. Kranz, has mentioned that the United Explorer's hotel credit is two $50 coupons that he's noticed in his application, not helping cases. The rental cars on all the cards, the rental car credits on all the cards, varying from $50 to $80 each, are two statement credits. Every card has gotten Instacart Plus membership in some form or fashion. The United Quest and the United Explorer card, those have complimentary for 3 months, and then you save either 25 or 50% depending on which card you get. The United Quest card now has access to United's renowned hotels and resorts program for $200, but hopefully it's not broken up into two $100 credits. I fear it is. There's a rideshare credit across all the cards of between $100 and $200. They're broken up monthly. It's terrible. Pretty much every way that Chase watched American Express implement coupons, they said, yes, what if we do that, but like tilt it a little bit to be just that much worse? I'm worried about Chase cards going forward. None of this has inspired me with confidence. So yeah, those are my hot takes. Did anybody else want to talk about the United cards? I've done a lot of talking about them in the last like 36 hours.
Before Tariq goes off, because I am sure we're about to get a rant from Tariq, I just want to say it's a C. Like, it's fine. I think everybody's having a hot take because they hate monthly coupons, which we will get to later. It's fine. Like, it's not great,
No.
but it's not everything is now 4 times the annual fee and you get like punched in the face. Like, overall, a strong but like like, guys, this is what kind of refreshers are like now. I'm sorry. Like, it's about to get to the dark times. I'm sorry.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to reply. Given what they did with the club and the club business card, I'd rather be punched in the face.
It's only a couple hours. I can be there and we can do it for a video.
All right. Craig, sorry.
No, that was the perfect time for me to be quiet because my dog is snoring. She needs a puppy CPAP. But I've been talking about this since last year with the CSR credit ads. I'm so sick and tired of people having so much to say about Amex cards and their coupons. This is the way of the world. So I don't want to hear it anymore. But also, all in all, I don't think that they're terrible refreshes. I think that people are upset because you can't just use a card 2 times a year and get all the value expunged out of it. If you don't take ride shares every month, that's okay. You still get your free bags. If you don't rent cars, which I think it's weird that that goes back to your travel bank, that's okay. You don't have to use those credits. The purpose of the card is still just free bags and the occasional 2 visits to a club. I still think that the JSX credit is weird. I've flown them one time, and that was from Vegas to not Henderson, but Vegas to what was it, Flagstaff, Arizona,
Okay.
and it was a free flight because we were flying with some friends, and that was just a part of his bachelor party. But I wouldn't personally pay that type of money for things. Um, it just feels weird though with some of these things. It feels like they looked at what are millennials and Gen X or Gen Zs spending their money on without any focus groups, and this is what we came up with.
Yeah, I don't mind that the credits were put in. I don't even mind that they were coupon books. Like, given that American Express continues to get massive numbers of signups, however they're getting them, but people are still signing up for Amex cards with the like supposed burnout of, oh, I can't take another monthly coupon on this card. Weird. They just had a better and better and better quarter. So,
But who's saying that? It's people with 12 credit cards who are saying that, who have
yeah,
to optimize things. It is not
Exactly.
most of our coworkers or friends or family or whoever. They either don't know the credit's there, don't care the credit's there, or use it. Right? So,
yeah,
like, the community can complain, but we're 5% of credit card users in the world. We don't move the needle unless it's we're doing stupid crap and then we're moving the needle because we're getting things shut down.
yes,
So I understand that we all don't like it because we have so many credits that we need spreadsheets or apps to keep track. But a normal person can keep track of this stuff fairly easily.
yeah. No, and that's, part of the whole, they're still getting massive numbers of signups. It's mostly normal people signing up for the cards. It's not a whole lot of this community doing things. But I did think that Chase kind of took all the inspiration from American Express, just turned it to stupid.
Tariq, I can see the sadness and pain in your eyes, friend. Let it out. It's okay.
It's not even a Texas-based company.
I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed.
Oh, that hurts.
Honestly, when it comes to like the credits on the Explorer and the Quest, I'll be honest. The new Explorer card, even at 150, credits aside, it's all right. I'd still get the card at 150. The Quest, just an extra $100. Yeah, there's like the seat upgrade credits. The problem with a lot of the credits, like, are the good credits are you got to spend on the card. Because I mean, if we're being honest, when we look at the Explorer card, people who that are in the game that you get the United Explorer, they get it because they get the 25% boost if you use Mileage Plus X. You get the 2 United Club Lounge passes, and then you'll put your flights on there. Aside from that, they're not good earning cards. Airline cards are not good earning cards. You're going to get 2x on the Explorer. You're going to get 2x on United purchases and 2x on dining in hotels. You can get 2x, on pretty much any. You get 3x on the Sapphire or 2x on the Sapphire Preferred for travel. You can get 3x on the Sapphire Reserve. Like, you're not going to put, I just literally, well, I mentioned the autograph. Spoiler, I'm going to mention the autograph journey in one of the podcast questions. They get 4x on hotels and 5x on flights. Or I might have said that backwards. Yeah, 5x on hotels, 4x on flights. So you're going to get better earning cards with bank cards than you are going to get with co-branded airline cards. And I think that's the problem. And that's what United is seeing, and Chase United are seeing, is that people are only going to spend on the card just to get the minimum amount of it, and then maybe put a spin on it just so they can keep the card going. I mean, granted, they have annual fees, so you don't really have that much of a hurdle. The Quest, what annoys me with the Quest is it used to be, I think it was like a $125 just United credit, where you just pay something pay for a flight and then you get the money reimbursed. Now you get $200, but it's Travel Bank. Now, granted, Travel Bank is not the most difficult thing to use, but it's like the Capital One. It's like when Capital One moved their travel credit to the Venture X, from the Venture X, from $300 statement credit to just like a $300 coupon in the portal. Yeah, it sucks. Same thing with I was looking at they got the 2 preferred, the Economy Plus seat upgrades after you spend $40,000 on the card. No one in their right mind is going to spend $40,000 on the United Credit Card. Well, no one in our right mind in the 5% that is the credit card community just pay for your Economy Plus seat instead of paying $40,000 for 2 upgrades. Just pay the extra for the seat, bro.
People with work spend will. That's the people that a lot of these credits, the people who spend $75,000 on the MX Platinum to get the the unlimited Centurion lounge access, and I think the reserves have it at 75 as well. The people who do that are either business spend, have more money than they need, or their work travel. When I look at these cards, they're not personal cards. They're made for people with work travel. They're made for people with business expense at this point. That, I think, is something that's a criticism. If you're going to level a big criticism at it, I think making it more work spend focus, more major spend focus, I think is a downside.
And that's valid, because for the most part, people that put their work spend are going to put in a reimbursement request form and get that money back. Yeah. So yeah, that's nothing to them. But for just the regular folk that just use the card regularly, yeah, it sucks. I'm going to save my thoughts and opinions on the United Club card for my topic,
All right.
I might get a little ranty there.
I have that card, and I am a little disappointed.
So I don't have it, and I am too.
Yeah, more disappointing was not necessarily the card refreshes that came out yesterday. It was more the club access rules changes that happened earlier today
Which
as
is
well.
exactly why that's going to the topic, because it's more than just the cards.
Yeah. So speaking of our topics, we'll continue the United card refreshes when Lonnie comes on. I am very interested to find out what Lonnie's thoughts are on those, because they probably won't affect him as much as you'd think, but he'll probably have some thoughts. Anyway, topics. Craig, you're the guest. We'll have you go first for topics.
Awesome. So, I know I do a lot of work travel. I do a lot of flights back and forth. So I think last year I took 70 flights, right? But the most rewarding flights that we do are off the beaten path. So not to New York, not to Miami or Chicago, but I'm talking, hey, we took a flight to Kanab, Utah, or to a regional airport. Shout out to RJ. Um, just thinking about that, how do you prepare for visits to go off the beaten path? And also, just thinking about this, why do we hear so little about domestic travel? The United States domestically is the fourth largest country in the world. We have about 7% of the landmass. Every biome that you can possibly think of in nature is here: deserts, mountains, grasslands. Technically, we have savannas, right? Like, now that is a different name, but we have them. We have every single biome that you can possibly think of. We have coral reefs, we have oceans, we have gulfs, we have estuaries. And so when I think about travel, oftentimes, especially within credit card YouTube, we think of these far off exotic places that we can go. I can show you pictures from Kanab, Utah, and you wouldn't be able to tell me if that wasn't a desert or a sand dune somewhere in the world, anywhere else, because they have pink sands, they have yellow mountains. It's called Big Candy Mountain. It's beautiful. It's quite literally a bright, yet like brighter than Tariq's shirt right now. Bright yellow. It looks like butter just slapped onto a mountain. Um, but it's absolutely beautiful. And so, like, what do I do to prepare there for that off the beaten path? And I think it's adjusting my expectations of what a trip is going to be. So, because I travel so much for work and because I do have the job that I do, both on the nonprofit side and with the IDD space, I'm plugged in a lot, right? Like, just went to my grandmother's funeral this past weekend. I did not take off of work all that time. I was still on email. That says a lot. And so, one thing that my wife and I have learned that we enjoy doing, we like the Disney trips. I like going somewhere where I literally cannot get cell phone service because I do not want you to bother me. And I do not want to have the obligation of looking at my phone and thinking about work, because there is just something really freeing about going somewhere domestically and saying, nope, I can't be reached because I'm in the Tetons, which hilarious name if you speak French. That'll be a joke that Tariq will get when he looks it up in a second. But yeah, it's just something really freeing about it. And I just don't think that we talk about it at all. You hear people saying, oh, I went to the Seychelles, or I went to Qatar, or I went to any of these far off places. I'm not saying that that's not an aspiration that you shouldn't have, but how many people can actually say they've been to all 50 states? And for as much as I like to bag on my family's place in Mississippi, there are some beautiful parts of Mississippi. There are some beautiful parts in Texas. Fun fact, I'm going to be in Big Bend later this summer because it's one of the darkest skies in the country. Actually, it's the darkest sky in the world.
I am going. I need to go there. I've lived in Texas all my life and not been to Big Bend. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, we just came back from Joshua Tree in Palm Springs. I can't explain to you how beautiful it is to see the galaxy, right? Like, there's just like something that is inspired in you as a human being, that you look up and you can say, oh, I don't just see stars, I quite literally see everything in the universe that emits light. So that's me. Would love to hear about like what you all are thinking about for domestic travel and just kind of how you think about going somewhere off the beaten path, or if being off the beaten path isn't for you, but like that's just where my thought process is. So I guess I'll kick off and start with RJ, if that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so how do I prepare to visit places off beaten path? If I know somebody who lives there, I talk to them, right? Because I think the easiest way to find the best places to go are to ask the people who live there. Or, if you go there a lot, right? Because they're like the internet is a great tool, but it can only give you so much. Like, good friend of mine lives in Denver. I'll be going to see her this fall. And like, like, we were talking about where my hotel was going to be, right? And like, I can read every top 10 list of the best places to stay in Denver. But at the end of the day, asking somebody who lives there and like, hey, this hotel or this one, and then her being able to tell me and be like, oh, yeah, there's a great coffee place that you can walk to from there that you're gonna love. Like they know you, right? So they are gonna know your particulars. She also mentioned a donut place, which, again, she knows me. She knows my motivation. So things like that help, right? I tend to look up if there's like botanical gardens or community gardens. I go to Boston because of Red Sox, and there's a beautiful community garden near where we usually stay in the Back Bay area. It's gorgeous and like you can just walk through it. And it's nice to be outside. It's nice to see what the community can do. It's free because you're just walking through it. So things like that I think are underrated, right? Finding community spaces because you're going to learn a lot about the area that way. You know, you go to places and they have murals, they have different things like that. That's what the community finds important. That's not what somebody on Reddit has decided is important. That's what the people who actually live there and take up space in that community think are important. So I think doing things like that is really a great way to experience it. And then just sometimes, depending on where it is, depending on how you're traveling, all of that, just sometimes just walking around, right? And, going into places and trying different things. I love bookstores, so I love to just wander and find a good bookstore and go in and, blow the cobwebs off of certain books, things like that, and see what they have. So I think things like that are good ways to sort of go off the beaten path. Um, as far as why do we don't hear about domestic travel, I think in the credit card community, it is much easier to do insane redemptions for a video for international travel. And I think Americans are weird in the sense of like, I can be in Maine in a few hours, right? Maine is one of the most beautiful places in the United States. I live next to one of the largest parks in the continental United States, one of the most beautiful places in the country. Like, just absolutely gorgeous, right? But I take that for granted, like, all the time. Yes, they're beautiful, right? If I'm sitting out there and I'm just looking at them, they're very pretty. But I don't take it in, right? Like I don't absorb those things, right? I went to the river walk down in San Antonio on a trip. Like it's beautiful. It is so cool. But if I lived in that area and like it became the touristy thing, like it's not going to have the same impact after a while.
It
And I
is the
think
touristy thing.
right. But I think like Americans are so desensitized to certain things like Maine, like the Outer Banks in the Carolinas, Florida, the panhandles, whatever. Like we're so desensitized to these sort of amazing places, the Rockies. Like the Rockies are incredible, but we're desensitized to them because it's just, oh, it's Colorado. Unless you're physically standing on top of a mountain, like I don't think people get the scope of it. Um, and I think Americans like to pretend we're better traveled than we are. So it's the old, I did a semester in London, so I'm well traveled, and I'm going to talk with an accent for like 3 months after I get back, or be Madonna and talk with an accent for 20 years after I get back. So I think that's some of it, right? Where Americans are weird. We're a weird species in the human pantheon. Ye old Americans. But yeah, I think we should talk more domestic because more people are traveling more often domestic, but
Yeah,
Americans are weird.
we are definitely weird. I love that idea of just we take it for granted because to that point, Tariq talked about, oh, the Italian Air Force flew by, and I was like, oh yeah, that's just the Air and Water show. Didn't even put that together until just now. Um, and you grow up and you see that every day in the summer as a kid, and you're like, oh wow, there's so many sonic booms. That's fine, it's cool. But no, I think that that's a really fantastic take. Also, I'm planning on being at your neck of the woods for a wedding in like 6 months. I will say hi. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Tariq, what about you?
So going off the planning on the trip off the beaten path. So, like RJ said, try to reach out to actual locals because you can only go so far on the internet. I will say, like with my experience using Reddit, finding like the r slash whatever city that you have where there are locals can give you some better responses when there are people asking about travel. Again, mileage may vary, but also looking at like X local website. Like for me, San Antonio has like Do 210, and it shows like kind of the things that are going on in San Antonio at the time. Austin has it with Do 512, so on and so forth. Um, for the most part, if I'm going off the beaten path, I'm looking at research. Okay, cool. What's the regional airline? I'm gonna fly United more than likely and get used to the Embraer E175 because there's no, depending on the small regional jet. If it's a CRJ, I will cry because I am too big for that damn plane.
I
Um,
understand.
and I'm just big wide, big out, not just big up. Um, so that more than likely, even though I'm a big transit head, gonna have to get a rental because depending on the small niche city that I'm visiting, likely not gonna have a good rail system. I will look up and see if they have a rail system, but I will more than likely pick my rental car, and much to RJ's chagrin, because they gave me status, will probably be Hertz. Um, and when it comes to travel, I will just see which Holiday Inn Express I'm going to stay at because I know good and god doggone well that there ain't going to be no Hyatt where I'm staying if it's off the beaten path. And, I'll enjoy my free breakfast that includes the cinnamon roll. So, yay for me. So, that's that. I actually had the privilege to visit the Grand Canyon when I was in high school. And it was arguably, from what I've seen, the most beautiful thing that I have witnessed so far in my travels. Pictures do not do it justice. It is the most breathtaking, beautiful sight you will see in America. In my opinion, there's a lot that I haven't seen. I've seen that, and I've seen the petrified forest, which seeing petrified wood is awesome. I had a
Right?
piece of it at home. It's just like, how is this wood? Um, but and I think that when like RJ kind of said it too, with, if we're being honest, why we don't hear a lot about domestic, we hear more about international and not enough about domestic, is because international travel just seems cooler. Not everyone wants to visit, different states, but let's be honest, America, like I seen somebody on like TikTok, it was like somebody in Europe and TikTok, they said America is so big that they take vacations in America. Like when you think about Europe, you're a 3 hour drive and you can be in different countries. For me, a 3 hour drive and I'm still in Texas. Um,
Take a
just so
6 hour drive and still be in Texas.
take a 10 hour drive and be in Texas. Texas is huge. Um,
But not as
so
big as Alaska.
yeah. That's a continental US. And if you say California, I might log off. So and like you said, we just take it for granted. But let's be honest, if we're looking at like the points and miles YouTuber, what sounds more appealing? Saying that I was able to fly to DC for 30,000 United miles, or I was able to fly ANA first class to Tokyo Narita in the room for 60,000 miles one way.
I know what RJ is thinking. Sounds better.
It's what's it's what you kind of got to see what the people want. It's easier to sell the fancy international travel because even myself, I'm like, oh, it seems nice. But you mentioned not everyone is going to visit the 50 states. I've said it multiple times. That's the one thing my girlfriend and I are trying to do together. We visited states on our own, but we even said we were going to start clean slate. If it was not a state that she and I have visited together, it does not count. So I had to, like I said, I was in Chicago last year. Loved it. It was absolutely beautiful. I will go back there when I had more time because I didn't even scratch the surface of Chicago. I only rode the red line. I didn't ride the other
don't do
line.
that. Don't do that, bro. I love you.
Guys,
You love your. That is dangerous.
It wasn't that bad. I only took it down to Socks and 35th.
I can't go
Trust
to
me,
the Seychelles.
that is the danger zone. Don't do that.
I can't go to the Seychelles because I can only take 3 ounces of liquids in my bag, and I can't take 56 mini bottles of sunscreen with me, so I can't do that.
I'm sure you could find a CVS nearby. You'll be all right.
I don't think there's a CVS Seychelles.
I was going to say that.
I'm joking. I don't know anything. I don't travel.
You don't have to worry. The Seychelles won't be there much longer. It's fine.
Oh, that hurt my feelings.
Oh.
But it's true.
But yeah, I want to travel, visit all 50 states. Like I would much rather do that and then see if I can do some international trips. But it's just there's so much to do in this country, especially when you get to like the Midwest or like Montana, or just seeing things that aren't inherently touristy, like going to Vegas. Like I want to see the beauty that this country has before it's gone in like 15 years. So it is something that I wish people would talk about more, but it just doesn't seem to have that same draw as going to Paris and having a croissant and hearing everyone say, no, it's not croissant, it's croissant. And I'm just like, look, I'm a Spurs fan and I know Wemby said it, but come on, it's annoying. So yeah, I think we definitely should talk about more domestic travel, with the exception of Southwest. You know what? I'm saving that for my topic. Next.
No, absolutely agree. Speaking of Southwest, the American Southwest is absolutely beautiful. You should go out there, just not on Southwest. Matt.
So I've done a fair amount of road tripping across the country. If I were to do a 50 state countdown, I've got 30 of the 50. I'm missing like the only two states east of the Mississippi that I haven't been to are Kentucky and Alabama. I don't necessarily want to go to those two states right now, but
Kentucky makes the bourbon, Matt. You would like that.
It actually really is a nice bourbon trail.
It is. And I can run away and get back to Covington and cross the bridge back into Ohio and still feel uncivilized. I'm kidding. Mostly. No, Ohio's fine. I for a brief time wanted to move there. Anyway, so I've driven off the beaten path. Like the drive from southwestern Nebraska into northeastern Colorado on I-76, when you take 76 down, like you're going up into the mountains. It is like, for whatever reason, the times I've done it, the multiple times I've done it, is always like the highlight of the trip, because I'm hitting it like right as the sun is going down. So you've got the sun going down, it's lit. The mountain, it's not even mountains, like that is high prairie and it's crazy, but as you keep going up in elevation, it's insane. Don't know why I enjoyed it so much, but there you go. So I've done like a lot of point to point travel with off the beaten path. Like I haven't had the opportunity to go to Moab. I haven't had the opportunity to go to Grand Teton. I haven't had the opportunity to go to Glacier. I would love to do all these things, and like points and miles will make it easier in time. But there, as we've covered, like there is so much you could do if you do a 17-hour drive in Europe and you start in, say, London, 17 hours, you can get down pretty deep into Italy. You can get, pretty close to Libuania in um, Slovenia, and I'm mispronouncing it, but I'm trying. You could get probably pretty close to Dubrovnik in Croatia. You can get through a good chunk of Germany into Denmark if you're starting to drive from London. Like 17 hours in the United States, I can start from where I am in New York, and 17 hours later, I am like just touching Iowa. If I really hate myself, and you still have all of Iowa, and Iowa is much bigger than you think when you drive across it. Then you'd have all of Nebraska, which hurts. Colorado, and the states, as you go further west in the United States, if you live on the East Coast of the United States and you haven't been west of the continental divide, as you go west, the states just get bigger. If you think Pennsylvania is too big, or you think Virginia is too big driving through them, you will hate everything west of the Mississippi. It just gets bigger.
Absolutely horrible.
So the sheer size of the United States is kind of daunting, especially on road trips. There's also that certain cosmopolitan bit of like, oh, well, we did a trip to France, and inside that trip, we were in those 2 weeks, we were able to go down to Nice and go to Monaco and check out the Italian Riviera because we have more money than God. We were able to trek back up to Switzerland. We took a stop in Liechtenstein because, again, we have a tax haven somewhere. We drove back through Germany, and like we were able to take the TGV or Euro, whatever the fast train is from Germany to France. It's not the TGV because the TGV is only in France, but you know what I'm talking about. The super fast trains. You can take the super fast trains between countries, and you can knock out 5, 6, 10 countries in like a 2-week vacation, thus giving you the sort of undeserved, like, oh, I'm well traveled. Like, yes, you went to a lot of places, but you probably also went to all of the touristy places in those places. But you can also do things like, if you were to take a month sabbatical from work, you can also spend a ton of time in a bunch of Europe and be able to speak to experience that. Whereas, you take the same amount of time here in the US, like you might cover 2 or 3 national parks in a state, maybe. So just like, we don't wrap our heads around the sheer vastness of this country. And that's before we get to the archipelago of Hawaii and before we get to Alaska. Like, there's 2 other states that are just like so far beyond what we do.
100%.
Here continentally. And then if you want to try to like hit all of the overseas stuff, no, you're not going to be able to do it. But like, we just don't think about it in terms of all of that. The off the beaten path, if you've got friends in those places, talk to your friends first. I would usually just pull up like TripAdvisor and just kind of like YOLO it and just see what happens. Not the best approach necessarily, but an approach. So why do we rarely hear about domestic travel? I think a lot of the problem with domestic travel here in the US is, yes, there's a lot you can do. The travel internationally, you're getting lay flat business. You're getting that whole other experience that you get to tell the story about. Whereas here it's, well, I took a Embraer 175 from New York to Detroit, and then I rented a car from Detroit Wayne and had to drive 40 minutes north on a freeway. Like, the whole infrastructure system just makes it painful, right? And in terms of air travel, like, if it's less than a 5-hour flight, which much of the country is less than a 5-hour flight, you're not going to get like all of the lovely amenities that you're going to get transatlantic, transpacific, or flying from North America to South America. Like you just don't get those. And even when you did, like it was just because it was also like lost out because it was a short flight, right? We have some long train rides, but like nobody wants to get on Amtrak. If we had something akin to the TGV, which beyond Acela we don't, and Acela isn't even great. Like it's fine for what it is, but it's not the TGV. It's not the oh God, what do the Germans call it? There's like the Bahnhof something or other, but like Germany has high speed rail, France has high speed rail, everybody else has high speed rail. Um, Japanese high speed rail is like insane to watch videos of, right? And like you're late, considered late if you're off by a minute there. So like all of that is more it's more awe-inspiring, I think, to most Americans because we don't have that here. Here it's you get in your car. Why? We don't have to talk about why, but you get in your car. You do the interstate system. You do the Lincoln Highway. You do Route 66. You don't do like the super fast maglev train. And you're not able to cover multiple countries in a single day if you wanted to.
Matt, you just made me sad when you said that.
What?
So
The car.
real-time follow-up, just for context for our non-American friends. I did New York City to San Antonio, which
New
is
York City.
roughly 1,900 miles between them. That is from London to Athens, approximately. So you can get all the way from London, all the way down to Greece in Athens for the same distance between not even me, but roughly Matt and Tariq. Like, that's the distance of like two people who live ostensibly in the same country. Like, and that, like, there are people I know who have made roughly that trip in like 3 days on kind of not sleep. And that's just a thing. Like, Americans will just get in a car for a couple of days and just drive to a thing. Like, especially people of like, at least Craig, Matt, and my generation, like,
Oh yeah.
road trips were how we did family trips. Like, you just got, oh, it's 8 hours away? We're not flying that. We're going to get in the car.
Yep.
This is before the intranet on a computer in your pocket that you can take with you and do things with. Like, if you had a Game Boy and a Walkman, you were like spoiled for choice back in these days. So
Was that the
I think,
era where people were printing out map quests?
yes, I
100%.
Yep.
remember sitting shotgun with my grandparents on a trip and having a paper map and having to stop to triangulate on the paper map if you missed a turn. Like, there was no autocorrect of like getting off at an exit and it rerouting you somewhere. You had to do that all by hand.
I still remember when my mom saw a GPS for the first time, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. What? This device gets to tell you where to go?
And now people want to throw them out of their cars.
Right.
Yep.
Speaking to RJ's point, putting in perspective, we used to take the Chicago to like Orlando or Chicago to Miami trip. Not on timing, but purely on distance. That is the equivalent from going from Barcelona all the way
Oh,
to.
Craig's well traveled. It's
If you don't say
Barcelona.
it with the lisp, they do get offended.
Barcelona. But that's going from Barcelona to Berlin.
Yeah.
That is 9 countries that you can pass through, or 14 that you can pass by. That is 4 or 5 states. When we did our Utah trip from Salt Lake City down and around back up the state, that is the same amount of mileage. And that took us 2.5 weeks.
Imagine driving from Northern California to Southern California.
It's long, but it's not that long. Here's the big one. Here's the big one I just discovered. Using I-40 from New York City to San Diego is about the same distance as driving from London to Damascus, Syria. You cross into a whole new continent with that distance. I wouldn't necessarily drive from London to Damascus necessarily right now. It's probably
No.
not a good idea. Certain folks, I wouldn't have a problem with them doing that right now. But you know, others, I who I cared about their safety, I would say don't do that. But yeah, that is the vastness that is the United States, and that's before the two other states that aren't even connected to the rest of the country. Like that is insane. Like the fact that New York to San Diego is the same distance, pretty much. It's 2,781 versus 2,798. Like it's 11 miles apart, different. It's 11 miles difference. That's how crazy big the United States is. London to Damascus. So yeah. We should talk more about domestic travel. I think the other thing is that like domestically, airline travel gets capped at a certain point. Hotels get capped at a certain point. So, and it's like not nearly as sexy. And like we don't have, Brightline doesn't have a loyalty program that you can exchange points into from a bank credit card. And Brightline isn't even like that expensive.
Matt's
Brightline is the
beloved
closest
Four
they have
Seasons.
to Brightline is
Hey
the
man,
closest we have to high speed rail, and people don't even know it's not true high speed rail.
yeah. My beloved Four Seasons, I can guarantee 1 cent per point, 1.5 cents per point to the Four Seasons. I can guarantee that redemption. It's a dang sight more than you're going to get in terms of bank points from the Four Seasons. No, it's not. Just pay out and buy that night through Virtuoso. Anyway, Craig, thanks for that topic. We're going to go to RJ, your topic next.
So I've been talking to some friends about travel lately and about arranging things, talking to some family, planning some things. And I want to know how you guys handle it when you're planning a trip and your travel companions have different ideas of how the travel part of that trip should go. Not necessarily what you do on the trip, but they are, Hyatt people and you're Hilton, or they have never flown first class and that just seems absurd to them, and you are me. You know, there are negotiations you make when you travel with other people, right? Like if you travel by yourself and you have the money, you can basically do whatever you want. But it becomes much more difficult when you're traveling either with a partner or family or parents. I find parents to be oddly stressful because they somehow always like they're the ones that the Delta people look at for the card when you go to the lounges, and then I step up and hand the card. There's always that move. Um, but it becomes this thing of how do you negotiate that? How do you, I'm glad I asked this without Lonnie here because I think he would chuckle. Because Lonnie will just be like, I'll see you. He says it to his mother-in-law, I'll see you on the other side of security when she didn't have pre-check. So I'm glad I saved him from this question. Matt, I'm gonna go to you first. You never get to go first on these topic questions, so I'm gonna go to you first, sir. How do you negotiate sort of the changes in travel, how people see travel? How do you negotiate all that?
I have basically become the go-to for how are we doing the travel for myself and my partner. Like they say, you have ruined hotels for me. I used to just stay at Red Roof Inns. Like you figure you're in charge, you know these things. I like Hilton now. Oh great, okay, cool. um they used to fly Delta, now they're like, I like JetBlue better. I like the way that you set things up better. Probably because they just don't want to think about it. So like now I have to negotiate the non-negotiables. Like I'm not doing oh, well, my turnaround in Atlanta is only going to be 25 minutes. No, no, it's not. Nope. I don't feel like running today. I'm not running at an airport. I don't say the travel day is sacred, but I know for dang sure I'm not doing anything less than like 75 minutes at Atlanta. Preferably 90. not 2 hours might be cutting it, but north of 2 hours might be a problem. I feel like 2 hours is like just enough there. Anyway, so I haven't, when it comes to my partner now, and my family, I'm in charge of everything. Not quite sure how that happened, but that's the way that it happened. When traveling with my family, I am now going to be in a position like the next like big family trip that the like it's multiple people trying to figure things out. I'm going to be in slightly different setups because I'll have global entry. They won't. So international trips are going to be, I will see you guys on the other side. I'm sorry, I did this later. You deal with customs, not my problem. So yeah, there's going to be that. Uh, but really, the wants, like I will try to budget in the wants. I will try to make it as easy a day as I can. But at the end of the day, like if you're trusting me to do all of the booking, all of the whatever, you're just dealing with what I'm okay with at that point. Like, yeah.
Makes sense. Tariq, when you're traveling either with your partner or with family, how do you do those negotiables and the non-negotiables? How do you handle, I know your dad's a big Marriott guy, so are you just like, Dad, I'm gonna be at the Hyatt. It's a Cat 5. I got a great deal. I'll see you over breakfast. Come over, I'll buy you the free breakfast.
All right, so I'll break it down with the two categories. First category being with family, the other category being with my beloved. When it comes to family, fortunately, my mother travels a lot. She used to travel a lot for work. So she's very well versed in travel, and she knows that if there is a layover, nothing less than an hour is a non-negotiable. Plus, fortunately, she's usually the one that is doing a lot of the flight funding. Every now and again, she'll throw it, like if she can, she'll throw it on mine accounts to get the points. But aside from that, it's all on her. So that's how I kind of grew akin into IHG, because while we did do Marriott's, IHG with Holiday Inns were kind of like the fallback. And I grew to strongly appreciate a good quality Holiday Inn Express. So I don't have to worry about too much when it comes to that. Yeah, we took a blow with Southwest, but that's what we kind of grew up with. Well, that's what I grew up with, so it was fine. So I just kind of go with the flow, knowing that my parents know what they're doing. We don't have TSA pre-check, and I'll get to that because, again, I don't have enough credits for my beloved, so I'm not going to leave her because I don't want those problems because I love her too much. So I just kind of thug it out with the TSA lines for the most part. I haven't had any issues with TSA, like with long lines, other than the fact that I will get the random search and I'm basically getting felt up by the random TSA agent in front of my girlfriend. But it's kind of like death taxes. I'm dealing with that, so maybe I won't deal with it. Mm-hmm.
You're aware you can actually just pay for TSA pre-check, right? Like you don't actually have to use a credit on a credit card to get TSA pre-check. You can just pay the $120, get it, and then by the time you have to renew it, we'll have a card with a credit on there. You can buy it, friend.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, but what's the fun of that? Anyway,
I think I just blew his little mind.
Hey, I knew that. My mom was telling me just to pay for TSA pre-check, but I don't know. I credit card points in my brain. I want to use the credits, but that's just me being hard-headed.
I have 3 of them. We'll talk later. I'll give you a credit.
Say less.
I will also give you one.
Say even
Say
lesser.
even less.
Say lesser. That's even a word. I don't know. I'm gonna count it. So that's family. I'm just chilling with that. I can just go with the flow. I can, for lack of a better term, turn my brain off. And only thing I got to do is just no, 24 hours before my departure time, I have to sign in and, pray I don't get B56 boarding group number. Because my parents don't pay for the upgraded boardings. Now, when it comes to my favorite and hopefully only travel companion until I have children, it is easy because I talk with her on what she needs when it comes to travel. But for the most part, she trusts my judgment, and I'll consult with her like with the hotel where we want to be and what we plan on doing. But for the most part, I say I have free reign because when we first started doing the travel game, I was just booking the hotel, and I remember the first thing that she asked me when I was showing her the room, it was a Spring Hill Suites, and it was just comfortable, and it was a king bed room. It was like the one bed suite that they have, and she asked me, "Is it a queen?" And I said, "Oh no, honey, no, baby girl, it's a king. We don't do queens. We sleep at a queen at home." So she knows that, she can expect a good king room. And I usually, depending on the hotel, for the most part, I pick the ones with breakfast. If not, I can get a credit for the breakfast that we pay for. So she's good on that. But I will say, because she is basically travel partner agnostic, she is like the ultimate free agent. That being said, RJ mentioned this in pre-show. If what if I was Hyatt and she was a Hilton girly? I would get the Hilton Surpass for that girl. So much I freaking love her. And I would do all the Hilton, and I would get Hilton Diamond. Why? My heart goes to that woman. So yeah,
They say romance is dead, and then Tariq says something like that. So,
right.
it's still alive there somewhere. Craig, I know you have your player two, you have your little one, you've got family. How do you negotiate sort of travel, the non-negotiables, are you the I love you, but I will see you on the other side of TSA line? We'll regroup there. Are you, being like Tariq and just not paying the $120 for TSA pre-check like a chump? Like, what are you doing here?
It depends. So first, I want to say, Tariq, trust me, two queen beds will make your life fantastic. Sometimes cuddling is nice, but sometimes I don't want you in the bed. Leave me alone. Do not touch me.
The king is
Matt,
big enough
understand.
to where we don't have that issue.
Nope.
Yeah, my partner is 5'2" and sleeps like she's 6'9". I am 6'5". Trust me, there's not enough space. Um,
Yup.
For one moment, let's just the people who have been in long-term relationships versus the person who is newer in the long-term relationship gang, there is a very clear divide in this moment. I just want to point that out for the viewers at home.
Married 5, together for 13. Trust me, sometimes I don't even want to look at you. Leave me alone. um, but
I like
it
how your
depends.
significant other is 5'2" and sleeps like they're 6'9". My significant other is 5'11" and sleeps like they're 7'5".
11. Damn, bro, she hoop.
No.
Oh, oh. The Aces could use another forward.
Also no. Anyway, sorry, Craig. I interrupted you.
No worries. Um, and then okay, I have a few things for road trips. I will never take a road trip with my in-laws that is longer than 6 hours ever again because I cannot stop. I'm the person that used to drive from Philly to Chicago in one day. We would leave at 3 a.m. and we're going to get there at 4, maybe 4:45. And player two just learned I just won't drink a lot because I know you're not going to stop unless we need gas. Having to stop every hour on the hour because father-in-law needs a bathroom or somebody needs to walk or somebody needs this is the most mind-numbing and terrible thing I could possibly go through. So for us, if it's more than 6 hours, we're not doing it. If it's really more than 3 hours, we're not doing it. TSA, I used to be like Tariq, and I would wait with player two. And then we had a child, and there's absolutely no way in hell that I am sitting in a non pre check line with a 2 year old. I will see you at the Sky Club, or I will see you at the Admirals. Whatever insert blank lounge we are at is where we are going. Now, if it is just she and I traveling, I'm I'm okay with waiting. I'll do that, but anything I can do to keep my little one from crying is what we're going to do. I will never ever prioritize anything that is not keeping him from yelling at me over anything that is the antithesis of that. Where it gets a little bit murky for me is traveling with friends. So, and again, player two, she is going to get her global entry and pre-trek. We're going to London this summer. I told her I'm not waiting in the customs line. That's just not a thing. That is multiple hours depending on when we come back. But traveling with friends, that's when it becomes a concern because for family, I'm usually the planner person. I'm usually the person that they just say, hey, you're Mr. Travel Man, go and figure it out. Tell us where we're going. We'll give you input on what we want to do and where we kind of want to go because I'm a lounger. If I'm on vacation, I don't want to do anything, but I married an adventurer, so we are going to do something. So I've just come to accept that. With friends, I realize that the vast majority of my friends do not travel the way that we travel. The vast majority of my friends are one flight a year or one flight every a couple of years type of people. You all know this because we talked about this in the Stack Your Points Discord. I had a friends trip with my wife. Well, my wife had a friends trip, and I said, "Hey,
no.
That went
That was
south.
that was
It went
so
south
that was
so
juicy as
fast.
hell.
First of all, I'm a person, I travel a lot. I look at airplanes as just my bus. That is my commute. It's what I do, right? I'm not getting super expensive check luggage. I'm not getting a super expensive like carry on. The red flag was we had a $2,700 Louis bag on an Allegiant flight to Scottsdale going out of South Bend, Indiana. If that
Oh,
was not a red flag to start,
Choices
the
were
hell?
made,
What the?
and those choices were
So
incorrect.
we
I
had to
forgot.
skimp on the flight for the $2,600 bag. Like did they put it on Klarna? Like
I
what?
have no idea.
Likely Afterpay.
Put in perspective, and I understand why people don't want to do this because they think it's weird, but hey, I make enough points from AA travel. I will pay for you all to get points so we don't have to go to South Bend, Indiana to get an Allegiant flight
Freaking
out of South
Allegiant.
Bend.
Allegiant. Not even
I
Spirit or Frontier. Freaking Allegiant.
I like to call it Alleghant, but whatever. Um, my thing is, we are flying an airline. Say what you will about American. I know that we're going to get there. I know that it's a certain, at least a baseline of quality. If I get a first class ticket, hey, I can quite literally book 6 first class round trip tickets from Indianapolis or Philadelphia to Scott to Phoenix, and it won't be a drop in the bucket.
That's some six
You
key
all
changes,
said
but okay.
no. They told me no. Okay, that's fine. Do whatever you want to do. Forget me, right? So some non-negotiables. If we are flying together, we're either flying United, we are flying Delta, or we are flying American. I do not care anything else. If you are not flying one of those three, I will see you there. If you do not have pre-check, I will not be waiting for you unless your name is insert kid Mrs. Kid Cat, right? And even then, depending on the day that I've had, I will see you while we're in there. Tariq, I love her dearly. She is the love of my life. She is the light that is the passion of my heart. Sometimes she pisses me off enough that I don't care. I'll see you in the club. And oh, you can't get in because you didn't bring your CSR, you didn't bring your platinum. I guess I'll walk back out for you. That's cool. Um, but yeah, if you don't have lounge access, that's fine. I'll pay for you to get in. Oh, you don't want to reimburse me? I'll see you at the gate. Oh, you didn't book? And I'll say this. I don't book first class flights when I'm for work, but if it's for personal, I'm 9 times out of 10 going to book it unless there just wasn't enough there, enough seats left, and we just didn't have the time, but that's the specific time we got to go, right? If not, hey, I'll see you. You all saw the picture of my little guy in first class. I'll see you later. I'll see you when we land. Oh, you want to skimp out and go to a B&B that has 2-star ratings because you want to be close and save some money? Nah, I'll see you at the activity. I'm at the point now, I'm not old, but I'm set enough in my ways and have enough travel quality that I will not skip out on anything that is my normal quality of a travel day. So I hate to be that guy, but I am rigid and unmoving, but I'm more than happy to bring you along if you are willing to let me.
I've just got two things that I wanted to add on to that. There's a reason why I didn't even mention friends, because friends are going to be difficult as hell. So I'm not even going to try to book travel with you. I'll see you at the destination because I don't want that headache. Because there's a reason why a lot of, even though like they say like the trip makes it out of the group chat, but the group chat doesn't make it out of the trip because a lot of the times it's that travel headache. And also, I'll be dug to damned if I'm at an Airbnb if I ain't have to, because I see those. I've seen those commercials for like the Airbnb commercials. Like, why would you be at a hotel? We could be at an Airbnb and everybody else. I'm like, because a hotel is nice. I'm not staying at someone's random ass house, and I'm not gonna pay for a cleaning fee and then be expected to pay for the damn thing. Like, it don't
And you
make
still
any
have
sense.
to clean up.
I'd rather give the hotel staff $100 a day to clean my room than have to clean an Airbnb and still be charged for
I
cleaning
don't
an
even
Airbnb.
request room service. When I was flying, when I was still doing like Marriott stays, there was like a thing that was like, hey, you could get like 2,000 points if you just elect to not do room service or a housekeeping. All right, cool. I'll just go down to the front desk and just ask for towels. Like, no, you like their Airbnb is again, and that's why people don't make it out the group chat because everybody's in the same house. At least the hotel, you got your own respective room and sometimes in different floors. So yeah, you can miss me with that nonsense.
I will say I have traveled with friends before. The key to traveling with friends, at least as a woman, I cannot speak to the bro trips, but as a woman, as long as everybody has their own room, so they have their own bathroom, you're okay. Like that space on a girls trip, just having your own room and bathroom will save more friendships than all of the white wine and charcuterie boards that you could put out from all of the Costco's.
Road trips are a little bit easier,
trip.
at least when I was in college, because I wanted
No,
to
no,
go to
no. We're
college.
not talking about college bro trips.
No.
That is
Yeah,
a
true.
different podcast.
Hey, we're just
friend.
talking. You're right. I'm just gonna just say it though, because I was able to just crash on my best friend's apartment. He had a sectional, and it was me and my other friend on the sectional while he was in his room. We shared the bathroom, and it was cool. We made it work.
When you're in college, you can sleep in places and your back doesn't hurt the next day. I am not in that stage of my life. I cannot sleep on the floor and just wake up and stand up the next morning. No. If I am on the floor, I have hit the life alert button. I have broken a hip. Like, let's put this into context, sir. Matt, back to you, friend.
The two back surgeries just to get up in the morning. Still can't believe a $2,700 Louis Vuitton bag on Allegiant from South Bend to Scottsdale.
And everything else you know about that trip.
Is the suitcase worth more than the plane they were flying on? Is the real question.
It was a CRJ. What was it? Not 700. What's the one below that? I think it's a 5.
Allegiant had CRJs?
No, Allegiant had the audacity to put you on a CRJ 300. Is it a 300?
I think it's
a 100,
did
200.
CRJs. Jesus Christ.
Look, here's the thing. When Allegiant's on the menu, run away.
They have enough, but they had enough money to buy the naming rights to the Raiders Stadium. That's how much they nickel and dime their customers.
They have
For
a
nickel and diming
Wow.
franchise.
Yeah.
Yes, the Raiders football stadium is Allegiant Stadium. And the only reason I was like, who is Allegiant? I had to look them up because I didn't know who Allegiant was at the time when they built the stadium. I was like, they're an airline?
So when the Sacramento Athletics move to Las Vegas, they'll be playing at Sun Country USA, Sun Country Airlines ballpark.
Sun Country Ballpark or Frontier Field.
I trust Frontier more than I trust Sun Country. Anyway, my apologies. All right, so let's jump into my topic because I can't wait for the rant on the last one. My topic: credit card coupons are here to stay. We've known this for a while, and it's only going to get worse. Just so much worse. Cutting bait on the worst ones will likely be the only way to stay sane. How are you planning to keep your sanity? At this point, when it comes to credit card coupons and credit card statement credits and the ever worsening landscape of credit card statement credits, I'm really just going to stick to the ones that I know that I can control and just zen my way through the ones that I can't control or the ones that I don't hit. Going forward, if I can't do the DoorDash, if I can do the DoorDash credits on the Sapphire Reserve and do one or two, I'm just going to live with one or two. I'm not going to go out of my way to hit all three. If I get any United card and I have to do the stupid rideshare credit, if I do it once, great. I'm not going out of my way to hit it all 12 times because, oh boy, $100 or oh boy, $200. Same with Instacart, same with all these other things. Like, do not take away my Sapphire Reserve $300 travel credit, and I'm happy with Sapphire Reserve. I don't care what else they add. I don't care what they take away. Do not take that away. Do not lessen that. Do not cheapen that. Do not touch that, Chase. Is all I can say. Everything else will be negotiable at this point. So, Tariq, you're not necessarily on the coupon train yet with your Chase cards, but they're coming. How do you anticipate keeping sane with them going forward?
So I think this was a podcast. Either it was a podcast question 2 weeks ago or a week ago, or it was one of the topics. I think it might have been a Lonnie topic asking
It was
about
a
like
Lonnie topic.
the credits that you just don't use. I have the Sapphire Preferred. I have that $50 credit. I don't ever plan on using it. I'm just gonna be straight up and just say, I'm just gonna thug it out. If I can use the credit, great. If not, and I'm still able to justify the annual fee without having to worry about the credit, I'm gonna use it. The only other card that I have a credit that I actually genuinely use is on my Blue Cash Preferred. I use that $7 Disney bundle credit. For the most part, I don't use the credits anymore on the cards because I don't get the cards for the credits for the most part. I get them for the multipliers and like whatever benefits I can get. So it may affect me in the future. God only knows what a Sapphire Preferred refresh is going to look like. But
Groceries.
great. I mean, 150 in groceries, maybe, but then I gotta play the justification game on my Blue Cash Preferred again. Then maybe that downgrades back to a Blue Cash everyday. I don't even know. So we'll see. But for the most part, I'm just gonna be chilling, man. Like, ain't much I can do about it. Like, I can bitch and moan all I want, but Chase ain't gonna give a damn about what I think. So, I'll just keep it pushing.
So you're telling me I host this podcast and I don't even pay attention to the content of this podcast because I just keep recycling topics every
I do
couple
think
weeks.
this is a slightly different version of Lonnie's question of what don't you use versus how do we deal with it going forward. So it is different, which is why I didn't tell you to change it.
Fair. Okay. Stark realization, though. I'll try to do better. You know what? You get what you get at this point. I'm sorry. Come back Thursday.
That's what Chase and American Express say when they hand out those credits.
Yeah.
Only Wells Fargo can save us.
Except they don't apologize though.
Again, only Wells Fargo can save us. Craig, how are you approaching cutting bait on the worst of the worst credits going forward? I'm aware that you traveled in the coupon books on both sides of the coupon books going forward.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just let it be.
I love that. If I don't use it in my everyday life, it just isn't happening, right? Like, I know people will say that the gold card is absolutely trash. I use Uber Eats at least twice a week. I use Grubhub at least once a week, right? And so I can just mind numbingly go about doing that and using those things. I will say having two gold cards, a bit much, not from a credit standpoint, but purely from a, wow, I spend a lot on groceries, but I don't spend that much on groceries, right? Um, most of the credits for the cards that I have, they aren't really that bad. I know there's some differ of opinion on some of the hotel cards for the Brilliant versus the Aspire. But honestly, anything that's related around food, as you all will know, I am the general of the Big Back Army of Indiana. So, I knew that one was going to get Tariq. I am the five-star general there. So anything
I
related
said
around
Brigadier
food,
General with a big back on me, man. That's crazy.
Why did you demote him?
You went from a 5-star
Five
to a
star to a
1-star?
1.
Well, I don't remember anything. Look, I don't know anything
we cut
past
DEI
Colonel.
and I lost my rank. Oh
This is
man.
wild.
I wonder if this is gonna make it off the editing room floor. But if I'm not using these credits, but like for example, food, I know I'm gonna use that. But in some of these cases, some of these credits that are like, hey, for example, $5 a month rideshare credit, I'm not changing my rideshare card from the CSR. That's just not going to happen. So that's just out of the question for my United cards. And some of these things, I know that I need to cut. I've got $5,000 in annual fees right now. That needs to at least be 2,500. Tariq said, "What, bro? Like that's my rent." So
No, $5,000 is not my rent. $5,000 was my rent. I need to look at moving.
yeah, don't move to New York. But yeah, no, like I don't get most of my cards for credits. I get them for perks, because I want my travel day to be better. I have the Hilton Aspire not for the Hilton Resort credits, but because I want to have the possibility of an upgrade or the possibility of, hey, I just want to have a food and beverage credit. Have the Brilliant because I want free breakfast when I go for work travel because I'm spending 80, 90 nights a year in hotels. So it doesn't bother me to such a degree, but I will say if it's just not something that I can mindlessly do, it's probably going to go.
Definitely makes sense. RJ, your approach here.
I don't care. Like, I don't. I don't get cards for credit, so why do I care if I can't use a credit? Like, I get the cards for the perks, the multipliers. If I can't use a credit, oh well. I don't ever go to office supply stores. I think I have used one $20 credit on my business gold, which is about the easiest credit you can do that's not set up for auto pay like a Dunkin'. Have I stressed about the fact that I haven't gone to Staples to pick up a gift card to load onto my Apple account? No. I sleep just fine at night. Well, actually, I don't, but it's not because of that, right? Like, it has
So
nothing to
many other
do,
reasons.
it has nothing to do with not using the credit on my gold card. But you know what I do? I use the multipliers on my gold card like Amex intended. Like, look, I understand that people want to recover as much of the annual fees as they can. Especially if you're an Amex fan, the cards are expensive. I get that. But turning yourself around 8 ways till Sunday to use a $7 credit or a $20 credit or whatever is bananas. Live your life. Don't make the cards how you're living your life. Yes, if it's a multiplier thing or if it's shopping at, you know, I don't even know stores. I don't grocery shop very much. But if it's shopping at like your local grocery store versus a Costco, and that's not a huge change for you, that's one thing, right? Like that is a thing you can do. But if it's, I need to go pick up this burrito on the 31st of the month, and it's got to be exactly this credit, like, no. If I saw somebody doing that, I might be tempted to end the friendship. Like, I cannot have that in my life. I cannot do that. Like, no. I'm sorry. I'm going to do an intervention for you, and if it doesn't stick, then I wish you well, and I will never see you again. Just because that's just it to me, it's so bananas that you're twisting your life around for a credit on a credit card. Like, no, just no. No, stop it. Be a human being. Go outside, lay on the grass, touch it, swim in the grass if you have to. Be a person.
So is it safe to say you won't split a bill up 5 ways to put 4
Resi
Delta
credits.
cards down to use Resi credits?
If I saw somebody do that, the tone of my voice would make every Karen in like a 300-mile radius like whimper and go into the corner. Like I would be incensed. You think I rant on this podcast? If I saw somebody do that live, there would be a live rant. I would be on TikTok as the crazy lady in the restaurant. It would be
Do I have
Julia
the video for
Sugarbaker
you?
level ranting.
Also, if you ever want to humble yourself with food prices, just go to UBS Arena.
Yeah.
$35 nachos. $26 cocktails.
Jesus Christ.
They supposedly have an Amex lounge in the arena. They do have an Amex lounge in the arena. I don't know what card to get you in because I didn't have any of them. They laughed at me.
Did you show the Blue Business Plus? Like, please, sir, can I have just 5 minutes in there?
No. Yes. My brother's gold could have gotten us in, but like, anyway. So, all right. No, that's completely fair. Just let them go. Is the best we can give you. But yeah, no, it's going to get worse. It's just going to get so much worse. And Chase doesn't have a clue what they're doing with these credits. So just let me have my $300 statement credit, travel statement credit, and don't ask me to do anything else. Anyway, let's close with Tariq, and then we'll close up shop for the evening.
Speaking of getting worse, what the hell is going on with airlines? And no, this is not a comedy, a stand-up bit. Seriously. So, and maybe everything I touch turns to crap. So
Possible.
that could be a thing, But I mean, I'm a Saints fan, and the Saints have been anyway. Southwest. We already talked about Southwest ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
If not, go check out Matt's channel where I bitched about them for like half an hour. And now we got United, which is why I didn't mention anything on the United Club card, because I wanted to go into United Club membership just in general, because when I saw Matt's thumbnail on the United Club card, I did my own research to try to figure out what the hell is going on. Because why in the Sam hell does the United Club card the same annual fee as the American Express Platinum card? Please make that make sense. And then I was like, all right, which means that we know the United Club membership was going to go up because they have to justify that because the annual fee on the card's going up. But I didn't expect the complete and utter nonsense that they did. And it makes me absolutely sick. For those who don't know and haven't watched the live or the tidbits that Matt did, the individual membership, there's the United Club membership is now breaking into 2 tiers. There is the option for individual membership, which is just you. It used to be you pay $650 for the United Club membership, and you and 2 adult guests, or you an adult and under 18 dependent, could get into the lounge for $650. Now it's you pay $750 for just you. Excuse me, sorry. for just you, for all the 45 plus United Club locations worldwide, or you pay the all access membership, which gives you the guest privileges, and it gives you the Star Alliance Partner Lounge. Yay. I'm sure half of them are on priority pass anyway. For a whopping $1,400. I'm not even going to get to the United Club status, the United status members. We're just going to keep it individual. Also with the United Club Infinite card at $695, that's also just the individual membership. So good luck. I'm almost wanting to see if you could just pay for the United Club membership with the Sapphire Reserve, and that credit that triggers the $300 credit, because at that point, that's probably the best way to do it at this point, because it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, overnight, United made their Club Infinite card the most expensive top tier airline card. The freaking Delta Reserve, even though it does weird limited passes, at least gives you access to the Sky Club and the Centurion Lounge. You just get United Club access. You don't get Sapphire Lounge access with the United Club Infinite. And, credits ad nauseum. City Advantage Executive World Elite World Sandwich Tongue Twister Oh Say Can You See card for $600 gives you Admirals Club. Or the good thing about American Airlines, what I will say, if you just buy a first class ticket, you get Admirals Club access. Can't get that with any of the other airlines. Well, at least not with United. RJ, can you confirm with Delta? So what the hell? And that's just a credit card. So United's making their changes. Southwest made their changes. Delta did their changes, but you never know. They could see that and be like, oh, we can one-up this. And American doesn't even have seatback entertainment on their narrow bodies. So what the hell's going on with the airlines? Are they just going broke? Are they just that greedy and money hungry? Like, what gives? Are everyone just dealing with private equity or private investment companies like Elliott Management with Southwest, and you're going to cause them to go under and just completely hate customer loyalty? Like, what gives? And I'm just confused, frustrated, fed up, and I don't even know if Mileage Plus X can help me here. So I'm just going to go with Matt. Since you're the free agent, I want to just hear your takes, because you also did your tidbits and you're live on it, and just see what the fuck is going on.
So first and foremost, airlines are not in the business of transporting you from place to place. They're not. Airlines are basically banks. First and foremost.
Fair.
Their secondary job is to move you from place to place as cheaply as they can to them. Now, the most expensive expense for an airline outside of their loyalty program is fuel. I don't know what the heck jet fuel's costing at this point, but can we make the planes run on black tar heroin? That might be a little bit cheaper. I'm kidding, obviously. But
yeah, I got
first and foremost,
I got one for you right now. Average cost for jet fuel in the United States as of yesterday is $2.10 per gallon.
No, it is $6.23 per gallon.
What the hell did I get on it? Anyway, it's not cheap. All right.
Yeah, and a gallon is 8 pounds of fuel. So it's $6 and change for 8 pounds. And it's tens of thousands of pounds to fly transcontinental. It's tens of thousands of pounds to fly even like New York to Atlanta before you do your transfer over to wherever else you're flying out of Atlanta if you're flying Delta, or New York to Charlotte if you're on the American Airlines path, or New York to San Juan if you're flying JetBlue, because JetBlue doesn't have a hub and spoke system. Too many examples. Sorry, RJ. Anyway, airlines are banks, first and foremost. Traditional banks make money by loaning your money out to other people and collecting interest or making investments with that money. Airlines don't have that luxury. Airlines need you to spend money on their credit cards so that they can get the spend, so that they can get the money in. And again, they're feeding a monster that is putting tens of thousands of pounds of dinosaur juice, specially formulated dinosaur juice, into their flying buses that are hugely unprofitable. Oh, and they need to be maintained. And the maintenance schedules should be far tighter than they are, and they should be following more stringent regulations. But that's a whole other conversation, because regulations are apparently a bad thing, because, people don't like to be told what to do ever, because we are a nation that has slowly become run by children. The biggest of which just happen to have the most amount of money. Anyway, so first and foremost, airlines are not banks. Airlines are banks. Airlines are not in the business of moving you places in comfort or cheaply. They're in the business of making themselves money, and most of the money that they have to make is to defer the costs of their fuel and their maintenance and their loyalty programs. So they need you to put as much money into the loyalty program as possible. And the card spend, Delta is fine with it, because again, Delta moves 1% of US GDP through its cards. The United States GDP is something like $789 billion a year. They move $7 billion a year through their credit cards alone. That is before all their other operating expenses.
Ridiculous.
American Airlines earns $5.9 billion through their credit card spend. And United earns something. United is in third place in terms of that level of spend. They were in third place because they had cards that weren't particularly expensive. United has seen the success that Delta and American Express have had. United has decided to copy this. United probably went a little bit overboard with how they did it, but you're going to see people continue to get the club card. You're going to see a smaller number of people, sign up for the United Airline, the higher tier lounge membership. You're going to see Delta do the same thing in 2 years. You're going to see American Airlines do the same thing, where like there's going to be the Admirals Club, and then you're going to see them add in another layer on top of that, because they could just sell you passes into the flagship lounges,
It's gonna be
or sell
Admirals
you
Club
membership into flagship.
It's gonna be Admirals Club and Captain's Corner by the time they're done.
Per whatever. So they all copy each other, because when one moves in a certain direction and they start getting traction on it, like nobody flinched at the American Express changes on the Delta cards. Nobody canceled the cards en masse. Like, yeah, there were some people who said they did. There are other people who didn't. It still pushes 1% of US GDP through it. You're still going to see massive spend on the American Airlines cards. You're still going to see massive spend on the United Airlines cards. You're going to see some spend somewhere on the JetBlue credit cards. I don't necessarily agree with getting the top end card, because that card is stupid, but like the $99 card, it's fine. The business card, it's fine. So you're still going to see spend there, just not as much as the big three. And then the other airlines also have their own credit cards, their own loyalty programs, but like they're banks. They're banks that just happen to need to transport you. So money is always going to be an issue. I don't know if it's greed and money hungry. Are they going broke? No, but they are always one catastrophe away from bankrupt. Like, if you're not able to travel, the airline hurts. And that's where like these golden ages start popping up in the airline industry, because they are always on the brink of collapse. So I don't think it's money hungry necessarily. Now, some of these moves are money hungry, but it's because of the big giant beast that they have to feed. And it doesn't help that you have companies like Elliott Management that come in and tell you what to do and completely destroy your program.
Yeah, Elliott Management's gonna have Southwest go bankrupt by 2028. Stupid. All right. RJ, I know American Express and Delta did their changes not too long ago. We know Sky Clubs and the Centurion Lounges have had overcrowding issues that they're trying to mitigate. What's your take? And who knows, maybe in the next couple years they might do another refresh because of what United did. What are your takes on this whole thing?
So first off, I need a correction for Matt. The US GDP in 2023 was 27.72 trillion with a T. So slightly higher than I
What
was
the?
projecting.
Yeah, that's an order of magnitude higher. Sorry. Also, what I said, the 7 point whatever on 700 billion, that's also 10%. That's not 1%.
Yeah.
10% of
So
the US GDP?
so
No,
it's
1%.
1%. But the projections are somewhere in the 1 to 200 billion range for the Delta cards. I looked it up while Matt was talking. Um, a lot of money. Like the Delta cards move a lot of money.
Yes, a lot of
That's
money.
crazy.
United wants to move half. Like if United could get half of that, they would be thrilled. And I think so. Here's something that I think is not even a dirty secret in the credit card game, but something that we don't talk about a ton. Lonnie does a little bit. We do talk about it some. The companies want us to use our cards. The fact that I have two Delta cards and I use them sometimes a little bit, but I'm never going to put my flights on them because I have the platinum. Like that is not how Delta wants me to use my cards. They want me to use my cards because they want swipes, they want spend, they want movement, right? And they incentivize me to because of one um, mile for my status per every $10 I spend. So I'm incentivized a little bit. But Delta makes it out better when I spend money on these cards. United wants people to spend money on their cards. How do you get normal people to spend money on your cards? Give them an incentive because normal people are not looking at, oh, I only have $10 for this DoorDash order or Uber ride or whatever, right? They say, cool, I can do a $30 ride instead of a $20 ride because I get $10 back. And that's how most normal people react to credits. They are not maximizing it in the way that some people in this community are. They're living their freaking lives and getting a little bit back. Now, are they playing the game perfectly? Are they playing it for maximization? No, because most people aren't. Even people who are in the game. I am never going to be said to be a maximizer of all of this. Like I live my life, I enjoy what I enjoy, and I go from there. So people, I think normal people might balk at the price increase, but they also might spend more money on these cards, which is what United wants. What United frankly needs by having these co-brands. It does them nothing if you have the Quest and don't actually do anything with it, or the club and don't actually do anything with it and just get into the lounges, right? Like that is nightmare fuel for them. That is what's keeping the CEO up at night. Versus if you have the Explorer and you use it for mileage plus X, well, that's what they want. That's why they'll give out the Explorer a little more freely than necessarily the upper cards because they know because of that 25-point boost, people will do it. Now, can they do it on every card? No. Can they, I almost could see them maybe lowering it on the Explorer
Oh
and then
Jesus Christ!
having
Don't
it
say that. Don't say that.
right, but having it at 15% on the Explorer, 20% on the Quest, 25% on the Club. Like I could see a world where they do that on the next refresh.
Scott
Because
Kirby, it's not a good idea. You don't hear this.
but
Fucking A.
changes like that make people spend money with these cards. Because people are spending money with these cards are worth it. We have to remember with co-brands, if it becomes not worth it for the company they're co-branded with, the cards will go away. There is nothing saying once the contract is done between Amex and Marriott or Marriott and Chase, that they don't just stop having them. If they are not profitable, if people are not signing up for them, they don't have there's no like legal obligation. There is no, jailer at the thing saying if you don't have a co-branded credit card, we're going to arrest you. That's not how this works, right? It has to be beneficial. So if it's not beneficial for United to have these cards, they're going to change it until they are. And I think this was a great refresh? No. But do I think this is going to make more, quote, normal people spend money on these cards? Yeah. It's going to raise the annual fee, which is going to bring more money in. It's going to incentivize people to spend on these cards, which is going to bring money in. It's going to make Chase happy because they're getting a cut of this as well. Like, do I think these are good? No. Is the JetBlue card that Matt hates good? No. But what they're trying to do is get people to spend money on these cards. And we can't forget that. We we can't. Like, I use my platinum every time I do airline tickets. Amex would also like me to pay for dinner with it too. I'm not going to, but they would like it. And like, we forget that banks and companies want to make money sometimes in our conversations about credit cards. Like, we treat them as these benevolent things. Like, Amex wants to make money. Chase wants to make money. United wants to make money. Delta wants to make money. I don't know what the hell Southwest is doing. I presume it's to make money or just to raise blood pressure. I have not figured that one out yet.
Southwest wants to go out old Yeller style at this point.
Yeah. Like, but I think ultimately my point is, do I like the changes? Not really. But do I understand why they're trying to make these changes? Yes. And I think as people who talk about credit cards, we have to be careful not to let our look, I love a rant, right? But my rants are both about my personal feelings and the credit card industry and system and community as a whole, right? Very rarely do I rant just because I am personally offended, unless you're paying with 7 credit cards for dinner because you have 7 gold cards for Resi credits. Like, that to me is a personal affront to man and nature. But if you have these cards for different reasons, like, it is what it is. I have 2 Delta cards for companion passes. Do I need $1,300 in Delta cards and automatic silver? I mean, it's nice because I get 2 more miles per dollar. Like, it's great. Do I need it? Not really. Do I spend a ton through them? Not really. Am I going to keep them? You bet your bottom dollar I am. So am I doing it the way Delta or Amex wants? No. Are a lot of people who have these cards doing it the way that Chase and United want? No, which is why they're changing it to try to make people spend money. They are trying to make money. Tariq, they want you to spend money on your credit cards. I know this is coming as a shock to some of our listeners, and I'm not trying to be condescending for the sake of it, but the banks want you to spend money, and you have to remember that in your commentary about this. Not Tariq, general public. Tariq remembers it, I promise. But general public, you have to remember they're trying to make money. They're not altruistic.
No.
Speaking of that, tough shit, United. You won't even give me the card. How am I going to spend money on a card you're not going to give me?
Well,
yes, but it's not just United. It's Hyatt, it's IHG, it's everybody on the co-branded.
If you didn't get the World of Hyatt card, you could have gotten this one.
Whatever.
Also, my sincere apologies on my error. I forgot that USDGP was way bigger than that, and 10% is insane. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, Craig. Since I already talked about how Southwest is at this point just a crappy version of your preferred airline.
Wow, the shots even now, and look at you, all that hubris, and where did it bring you?
Right. Hey, I said Southwest is a. All right, look.
So
Moron giant. What's your take? And Americans next. They could potentially be next. So
I don't doubt it, 100%. I don't think that they have the resources to hold out any longer. I would be surprised if we don't see it by the end of this year, if not the end of 2026. But to just start off, since Lonnie's not here, the obligatory: banks are not your friends. Airlines are not your friends. And I think that this goes back from a historic standpoint all the way to the 30s. You were saying, what the hell is going on with the airlines? The same thing that's been going on for almost a century now. And what should have been busted up by antitrust laws, banks are getting bigger. Airlines are getting bigger. And when they get big enough, you don't have any other options but to fly with me or go to Sun Country or go and take your $2,600 Louis bag and get on Allergan. Um, but I think that a lot of these airlines have become so big that they don't necessarily need to compete, right? Like if let's say United loses $100 million, they are still going to be the third largest airline in the country and possibly the fourth or fifth largest airline in the entire world. If Delta stopped having a 1% of US GDP go through their cards, they're still going to be one of the top five largest airlines in the entire world. And it's always about money. I just think that now they've grown to a size now that they no longer need to truly dedicate themselves to the user experience. If we still had 40 plus airlines like we did in the 1960s, I guarantee you would still get a pot roast and a full meal in first class. You wouldn't have a seat back where your infotainment center didn't work, or when you leaned back, you couldn't lean back forward, or the flight attendant came forward and said, "Hey, seat up," and you said, "No, the seat's broken." Right? That just wouldn't be a thing because there's competition. Because I can go to U.S. Airways, I could go to any other airline that there possibly would be. And to kind of touch on the Southwest thing, I know you were saying that they're doing this to go bankrupt. I genuinely think that Southwest is not going to be an airline here in the next 5 years. And I think that they're going to be broken up and absorbed into some broader airline, whether it's the new Alaska, Hawaii, or if it's AA or United or somewhere. I think that they're just doing this to right size them and get them in space for selling. It's no different than the landlord special when you have a house, right? Like, I'm going to fix just enough to get this in line where if I go to sell this to somebody, they think good enough. And so with the United changes, I think it's really crappy that they are now the most expensive lounge network membership because you can get Alaska, I believe, for 550 if you have status less. AA, you can get it for 600.
Hey, you can get it if you just book a first class ticket.
And to Matt's point earlier about the flagship lounges, if you get enough of your lifetime point, if you get enough LP points, you can get flagship membership entry passes. You can just select that as your gift, right? Like, I don't do it because I don't fly through LAX or New York enough for that. But if I wanted to, I could have 8 membership flagship passes a year, right? I don't think that as we look forward into what the landscape is going to be, it's not for points and miles maximalists, right? I don't think that we are going to have a good time if we came back here in the next 5 to 10 years and had this exact same conversation. I think that the people in this community would be gobsmacked about what the landscape looks like. But to the average traveler, they don't care. I can tell you, for people that are business consultants, they don't care because work's going to pay for it. People that are the average traveler, they don't care because I don't need to go to a lounge. I do think it's like miserable also that United put a timer on their how long you can actually be in the lounge now for day passes, and that's just wicked because not only did they tier their membership, but they tiered it even further for if you have a membership versus a day pass. And that's just like, hey, if I don't fly United often, but I want to go to Denver, it's a hell of a lot easier to fly anywhere on United to Denver than it is on any other airline. Quality of life, I think, is going to go down, but to RJ's point, spending is going to go up. And as much as I hate to say it, the average person is not paying attention, and they are just going to say, "Oh, look, I just got a new United card. I could probably go a million places on 80,000 United miles," only to realize there's no sweet spots. Because unless you're like Lonnie and you can generate 100 billion, I'm sure Lonnie doesn't generate 100 billion, but a billion United miles a year, you aren't going anywhere fantastical domestically. At least you might get some international sweet spots, but these programs, I think, are doing exactly what Matt said. They're finding ways to make more money with more spend, and I'm not giving you any more piece of that pie than I have to. So I hate to say it, but I don't believe that airline loyalty outside of very niche cases of business travel is really going to be worth it. Or in, for example, RJ's case where, hey, I'm in a regional airport and I just have no other choice. But I think out of everybody that's on this podcast right now or normally, Matt's probably making out the best here in the next 5 years. Like your geographic location, I know JetBlue's your well, I think it's your preferred. But being a free agent right now, it's the way to go. That's one thing I do love about Indianapolis and Chicago. I have options. Philly, if there's 1,800 flights going out, 1,600 of them are AA. You have no choice. I hate to say it's a big airport, but it's an AA hub, and you are just not going to do any better. So all this to say, I don't think it's just United. I don't think it's just Southwest. And I know this is very melancholy, but it's just not. I think it's the way it's going to be. I know we like to bag on AA, and I'm certain when it does happen, Tariq will jump up and down with joy. And it's the moment that high devalues, I will let you know about it. But yeah, they're going to devalue. I don't see AA miles being 2 cents a point going forward for another year or two. But yeah, so that's all I got for you.
Two final thoughts. One, we need a trust buster again because this sucks. And I know.
You had one. You had one.
Breathe,
Nobody
Matt,
liked her.
breathe.
That's one. Two, I might have to jump on the free agency thing, but also free agency might just be taking more American flights because I hate Terminal A and Terminal B is the better airline. So I might be doing some AA stuff more. So good luck, Craig.
No Allegiant flights?
Hell no. I'll eat a Long John Silver's before I fly Allegiant.
I respect that.
Again, Bizarre World continues. Yeah. Don't know how to follow up. I'll eat a Long John Silver's before I fly Allegiant. We may have a title there. Anyway, yeah, the airlines, the only answers are going to be like preventing consolidation. We need to bring back Lena Khan, and I don't know, maybe a fourth alliance. Could a fourth alliance do anything? Any more
So
competition?
I have some follow-up. This is December of 23 through November of 24 for Philly. 46.61% of flights
Jesus Christ, they're American.
American. And then 13.34 Frontier. Delta was 6.39, Spirit with 6.05, Southwest with 5.20. Everything else is 22.41%. So United does not even get named on the list for Philly.
3 to 4%.
Yep.
For Philly, yeah, that would probably track. Yeah, the hub and spoke system worked really well for the big three. They all kind of grabbed what they could grab. And then, you thought direct flights would work better. They did not. More airlines would be good. Less consolidation. Because we used to have, there was no Northeastern Airlines, but like there was Pacific Southwestern Airlines, there was Northwest Airlines, there was Southeastern Airlines, or like Florida Southeast Airlines. Basically, if you went a direction and you're not Southwest, like you're gone. Eastern Airlines existed for a while. Yeah, no, we need more airlines, not fewer, and we also need those airlines pretty tightly regulated to make sure their planes stay in the sky. But we've chosen Chaos Gremlins, and we're gonna have to live with it for the next 3 years. Yay.
Yay.
With that, I think we're going to wrap up this episode of Stack Your Points. You can always find us here on Wednesdays and Fridays on YouTube. You can catch us the full episode on Saturdays on the podcatcher of your choice. Please give us a like and subscribe. We are just pushed 330 subscribers here on YouTube. We would love to get to 350, then on to 400. I'm pretty sure we've got a good solid core of listeners on the Saturday show, so please drop a 5-star rating on that and continue to grow the podcast from there. Yeah, RJ, if we want to find you in the vast expanses of the internet, where would be the best place to find you?
I mean, the Stack Your Points Discord telling people cent per point is dumb.
Also very anti-math.
I did math over the weekend. Not well, but I did it.
It's fair. I couldn't even remember that 1% of GDP would have been several. Anyway, Craig, if we wanted to find you on the vast expanse of the internet, where would be the best place for that?
Right in the Stack Your Points podcast Discord. Also, anti-math is pretty aligned with where we're going, so I appreciate it.
I can do some math, but the rejection of math and science is staggering. And Tariq, if we want to find you, where's the best place for that?
You'll find me at Reeks Rewards, the Stack Your Point Discord, and the corner where I'm going to put Ed Bastian, Robert Easom, Scott Kirby, and Bob Jordan in the corner and flog them with as many whips as I can because I am angry at them.
Very YN behavior.
I am leaning towards unk status, so, I don't know how much I got left.
Johanna and Marty, consider yourselves lucky because you've avoided the wrath of Tariq this week. Absolutely. Well, you can find me at the Matt Clausen YouTube channel. You can also find me here on the pod and the Stack Your Points Discord. You can also find our colleague Lonnie at Call Me Lonnie, all one word, Lani, and he will also be on the Stack Your Points Discord as well. We appreciate your time. This was a bit of a long one, but we had a bunch of stuff to cover and some stuff to get off our chests collectively. So we will talk to you soon. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching.